My motivation for founding my own firm came from very early in my career, right about the time when I was leaving college. And essentially it was to see long-term sustainable businesses built from Africa. I'd heard about a lot of foreign firms that had lasted 20, 50, 100 years, and all the institutions that everybody was telling us to join back then were all foreign institutions. And I just had this inspiration that at some point in time in my career, it would be great to actually found a business that could eventually become a sustainable business that would outlive me and maybe be there 50, 100 years from now.
I have 3 other partners. There are 4 of us that started the business. I met Michael Inzewi, when I worked in IBTC. I went to school with Femi, so I already knew, and I had mutual respect for both of them because I knew them right from time. Femi was really smart. He read accounting, so we had mutual respect for each other. I was in insurance. And then Michael clearly was, I think, in my set, where I qualified as a chartered accountant, he was the best overall candidate in the country. So already, even though there were quite a lot of type A personalities in IBTC, we all had mutual respect for each other. When 3 of us came together to start CardinalStone, we wanted a fourth partner to do things differently from what the standard was about 10 years ago. And so we had a clear motivation to bring in a fourth partner. And because of the mutual respect we had for each other, Femi then suggested a guy who he had seen on Dean's List. And we said, who is this guy? He said his name is Yomi. Dean's List in Wharton. And so he said, this guy must be very smart. He's Nigerian. I know he's relocated. Let me check him out. And so that's how Yomi joined the team.
To be honest, you never know if you have the right partners, but there were certain fundamental building blocks that I saw in myself, that I saw in them. And I felt if there was any good chance to be successful at anything with partners, these were the right guys to hitch my wagon with.
The day after the company was registered, and that was actually the day we paid the rent for this building. And we had just gone to the restaurant where we used to work in the evening to celebrate. So CardinalStone is born, and we have an office. And while we were there, we were robbed. Armed robbers came in and robbed everyone there. And it was nasty, because Yomi's wedding was actually the next day. So when I left that place that night, I was asking myself, is God trying to tell us something here? And are we actually going, is this what we should be doing at this time? So I went back to England that weekend, but in the course of the week, I just felt that, look, right, just go back to Lagos and get going what you're trying to do.
One of my colleagues, one of my partners here, introduced me to the guys, and she then said, she actually said a bunch of her friends wanted to talk to me. I said, fine, what about? She said she didn't know. I suspect she knew. And the 4 of them filed into my office one afternoon, and she introduced them. And they then introduced themselves, explained why they'd come, told me a bit about themselves and what they were doing, their aspirations, their ambitions, their strategies, their plans. And they then said they wanted me to sit on their board. And they then added a clincher. They said my big brother, Mr. Foladiola, was sitting on their board and was their chairman. Now, I suspect they knew that if they added that, it would be difficult for me to say no to them. But I still asked them to go away and let me think about it. So I then called Mr. Adiola and I said, a bunch of young guys came to see me, and this was what they said to me. And he then told me a bit more about them, how he came in contact with them, and he said he thinks it's a good thing, and he'd really like me to join him on the board. So that's how I got on the board.
You look at your own life and you say to yourself, if these guys are who I think they are, then they're worth supporting. And it's basically an attempt to support a group of young people who are desirous of doing something great and wanting to be part of that story. That's why I put myself in.